Thank you. David Stahlheim, Bellingham resident. So my question has to do with the process, and it has to do with whether or not there's a lot of reliance on the environmental review process being thorough and rigorous, and that the decision makers are going to rely on the EIS, the draft EIS, and the final EIS to make permit decisions. So my question is that the three agencies that were relying on staff with expertise to be making these decisions about scoping and what's in the draft EIS and final EIS. So my question is of each of the agencies, what is your experience preparing and managing an environmental impact statement, and particularly managing an environmental impact statement for a major project of a coal port, and the biggest one in the United States?
So again, Tyler Schroeder, and I am the designated SEPA official for Whatcom County. And I have worked on a couple of different EISs associated with in Whatcom County. I haven't gone all the way through the process from beginning to end on an EIS, but I also want to make sure that everybody understands that there will be direction given and support from all three agencies through the memorandum of understanding that we have, as well as the consultant that's hired will have a lot of expertise and has done many EISs that is prepared through the process, and on specific larger industrial facilities, maybe not similar to this, but of the same scope and magnitude.
Why don't Ecology and Core just make a few comments?
On behalf of the state, I can say that we have contacted the various state agencies and have the expertise and the technical staff at the state agencies who will be reviewing the documents and weighing in. So there will be a lot of people who will be reviewing these documents and weighing in, and we will get that expertise, and if we need additional help, then there's the consulting world, and we can get expert help in that way.
And I'm Randall Perry, I'm with the Corps. This is my first time as being a lead for an EIS, but I have served in a supporting role on a couple of them, and I want to emphasize the same thing that Alice said. It's not me alone who's doing this work. I have a full team of people behind me in the Corps, including members of our Office of Counsel, wetland experts, environmental Endangered Species Act experts, archaeologists. There is no one person at the Corps that makes a decision. It's usually a decision that starts at the bottom level and works its way up to the district engineer. So there's multiple levels of review that go into the process.
Thank you. Next is Scott Stite.
John Stark, Bellingham Herald. As part of the scoping process, will SSA get a chance to argue for limiting the scope of the EIS? And if they will get that opportunity, will that conversation between them and you be on the record for all of us to see?
I appreciate that everyone is enthusiastic, but it'd be nice to be able to flow more quickly. So just keep that in mind. Thank you. Okay?
I can answer that. The applicant can make public comments during that phase as well, so that they'll submit their comments and those will be documented.
Okay. Question from Jeannie?
My name is Thelma Follet. I live in Bellingham, and my question is for Tyler. Now that the permit has been submitted, are we able to petition our county council members, or do we have to wait till 2014 to talk to them about this issue?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I know there's been a lot of concern in regards to the county council and the involvement that they have. What the EIS process is going to do is to give them as much information as anybody's going to have to make the decision associated with it. The other discussion is that in the public participation plan, there's the opportunity to go back in front of the council to provide them updates so that they have some understanding of where the process is and how the process moves forward. That's of course done in coordination with the prosecuting attorney's office at Whatcom County to ensure that they can still have that quasi-judicial ability to make the decision, which is the issue at hand about the involvement that the county council has.
saying that I cannot write to them about coal right now? I mean, they can't read what I have to say.
Can you answer that?
Sam Ryan, we recently had a meeting, and the planning, our council was directed that they should not become involved in reviewing information, so they would not put themselves in jeopardy and not being able to make a fair, unbiased decision at this stage. I'm sure down the road that is going to change, but right now, they have been advised it's really, if they want to be able to make a decision, they need to not come to these hearings at this point.
Okay.
I also want to provide
One more comment.
point of clarification, and that's that if you do have information that you want the county council members to read and make decisions, provide it to the record. Provide it to the application, because the application and the record associated with the permit will at one point be in front of the county council members for a decision maker. So the most appropriate way for the council to read comments that you have on the project is to provide it to the record for the decision makers at the council at that point where they do have the ability to read it, be able to read through all of those comments that are submitted.
Thank you. Okay, Scott Side.
Hi, I'm Janet Weedman, and my question relates also with this same flow of questioning in terms of the environmental impact statement. I'm just trying to understand that. You have all of these regulatory agencies, and there's some science that has gone into the recommendations that come up. But is my understanding correct in that that environmental impact statement actually has no binding influence on the decision makers? Is that correct?
It's any binding, so that's both a NEPA and a SEPA question, I think.
Yeah, I think I will answer that for SEPA. Agencies are authorized under SEPA, the statute, to enact what are called substantive SEPA policies or supplemental SEPA policies. Whatcom County has them, the Department of Ecology has them. Supplemental SEPA policies are policies that say we can require mitigation or ultimately deny a permit application if certain types of impacts are identified, and it really depends on what the substantive SEPA policies say. But the EIS informs the decision makers not just so that they're considering environmental impacts at the outset, but it also informs them in terms of how they might choose to exercise their substantive SEPA authority. So the decision makers will look at the EIS to decide, should we exercise our substantive SEPA authority in order to require mitigating conditions, or should we exercise our substantive SEPA authority to deny the project if there are identified substantial environmental impacts that can't reasonably be mitigated.
Okay.
But they do not have to. It is within the discretion of each agency that's making a decision on the proposal.
And for the Corps' purpose, with the NEPA side of things, it is not a binding decision for us. It is an analysis that provides us with information to make a determination. And it's only one factor that goes into making a determination. We have a lot of other consultations and issues that we have to address before we get to our final decision.
Okay, thank you. Jeannie, sir?
Hi, my name is Carol Follet, and my question is about, it seems that the consultant is going to play a very important role in this, and I'm interested in knowing the process of hiring the consultant. Is this a transparent process? Is the criteria posted? Can the public have any input on that?
Sure, I can answer that question. We've been going through the selection of the consultant process currently. On the slides that we indicated above, we wanted to move forward to get the consultants on board to help facilitate the public participation plan as well as the scoping notices associated with it. So there hasn't been public participation in that selection of the consultants. There were 7 consultants that applied for the request for proposals. We did interviews last week, and the agencies will likely be selecting the best consultant, the most qualified consultant in the coming weeks as we move forward.
How can we know that? Is there a way for us to investigate it?
It's a clarifying, it's okay. So is there, do you understand her question?
I don't. I didn't
Can you
understand.
Is there any public oversight of this hiring process? You said you're making the best selection, and although I know that you are scientists and have confidence in that, I still feel that the public has a right to know and have some input, or at least be armed with knowledge about the people you hire.
Sure, good question. So through the process and the normal contracting process from the county, there is an involvement with the public on who that contractor is. So it was determined to follow that practice in this situation. There is disclosure information associated with the proposals, requiring the consultants to disclose any contracts or future contracts associated with them, known. And so I understand your question, and there is not public participation associated with selecting that contractor. However, I feel very confident that the one selected will be the most qualified selected consultant.
Okay, Scott's side? Next question.
Hi, I have an administrative question first. My name is Asa, and I just want to know if you're going to be posting this slideshow anywhere online so that we can refer to the process.
Yes, I can answer that. Yes.
It wasn't a panel question, I guess, but go ahead.
The county and Ecology's website will be posting the PowerPoint presentation. And the card that you got, or the paper handouts that were given earlier, and if you don't have one, we can track you one down, have the locations of the links to those websites.
And these half sheets are out on the table out there, and there's plenty. I know there's enough for everyone here. It has the websites and some other things we'll talk about later. Okay.
She has a process.
Oh.
I have a process question as well. My name is Asa Flynn, and I'm curious about tribal participation on the panel. I'm just wondering if you have a tribal representative on the panel and what their ability to give input is.
As part of the federal process for this whole action, the Corps will be engaging with the tribes in what's called a government-to-government consultations. And we do that with any of the tribes that we have a trust responsibility for. In addition, we have sent out letters requesting 3 of the local tribes serve as cooperating agencies for the federal side of the review. So we will be getting, there's a couple of different channels of getting tribal input into this process.